Hi, I'm Tom Edwards. I'm the Chief Digital Officer of the agency business here at Epsilon. And what we're going to cover today is a quick recap of South by Southwest 2017. Over the years, South by Southwest has been one of the best conferences to judge and gauge consumer-based trends. So you saw the launch of Twitter, you've seen the launch of Foursquare and all things location-based. You've seen actually the launch of Highlight as well as Meerkat and live streaming. So we always look to South by Southwest more from an experience and a creative expression perspective. It's a great place to actually gauge and judge the types of trends that we think are going to actually be in the market over the next few years versus extremely future forward. So by working with us, we always look at the world through the lens of connection, cognition, and immersion. And that's how we viewed South by Southwest this year. So I'm going to touch on the trends tied to connection and cognition. Ian's going to touch on immersion and this idea of the zone of convergence, as well as some of his other feedback. And we're just going to dive right in and talk about connection. One of the core themes of the show to date has been around conversational experiences, all things bots, all things voice-based. And one of the core themes also tied to that is really around this idea of voice-based experiences allowing accessibility across whether it's different socioeconomic factors or age or some of the other core territories. So extending beyond text into natural language processing has been a big area of conversation. One of the other things we've also seen is the re-emergence of social proximity. So what I mean by that is we saw Highlight launch in 2012, but one of the issues there was around the accuracy of that. Now we're seeing other startups that are applying personalization to it, and they're basically enabling it to where it can either be hardware-based through beacons or actually applied through a mobile device. So again, that whole idea of opening up the social graph in a specific proximity is another interesting kind of play. As we move forward into this idea of cognition, the real central theme of South by Southwest so far this year has really been around artificial intelligence. We've definitely seen this kind of evolution from this idea of all things are going to be tied to virtual reality and this and that and connected everything to really this movement towards intelligent systems. So what we've seen is we've seen kind of a number of different factors. We've seen this idea of artificial intelligence impacting the evolution of storytelling, whether it's Disney using machine learning to redefine their park experiences or Facebook leveraging it to create new experiences for their consumers. And we at Epsilon also use machine learning both to take and drive our quantitative research and our qualitative research through unstructured data sets so that we can begin to really get into the psychographics of connecting with individuals. The other thing that we've really seen is this rise around emotive robotics and emotional intelligence tied to artificial intelligence. It's this intersection between how people are actually going to be interacting with machines. So there's a lot of emphasis around whether it's home-based assistants that now have a robot overlay to them to where they can basically interact with you, whether it's facial recognition or actually trying to connect with you on a more human level. That's been a big topic of discussion. One of the other core areas of discussion too is this idea of augmented intelligence. What it is it's instead of artificial intelligence replacing us as from a productivity and efficiency perspective, it's more about how that can enhance human beings. So we still drive the intuition and the creativity, but yet we're using the artificial intelligence to augment ourselves in a way forward. So that's been another big topic, as well as the ethics associated with artificial intelligence.
One of the additional trends we see is the rise of what we call the proxy web. In the very near future, we as consumers will have intelligent systems serving the role of a proxy for interaction with other intelligent systems. These systems will communicate with each other in order to streamline information exchange, replenishment of frequency-based purchases, and align situational awareness with our desired experiences to adjust and predict to our needs. We talk about this as one of the foundational elements of the upcoming intelligence revolution.
And the final aspect of it is really that intersection between human interaction and artificial intelligence. You're seeing this a lot in terms of autonomous vehicles, basically having different modes. We saw this carry over from Mobile World Congress to where essentially that there's both a mode designed for the human as well as the system to overtake. So there's more of a bridge instead of just an abrupt transition over.
Hi, I'm Ian Beacraft, Vice President of Digital Strategy. One of the interesting things that we've seen with South by Southwest from an immersion perspective is the different variations on virtual reality and full sensory immersion experiences that we've seen here on the show floor. We've seen a mixing of different types of user interfaces, different types of interaction models, as well as different types of presentation of content and materials. It's rather inspiring to see this happening so early with a new medium like VR and AR that you normally don't see until years have gone by and adoption has become pretty much par for the course. One of the things that we've seen here was a cinematic release of The Mummy in 4-dimension VR, which is incorporating full sensory immersion, both with vibration and sound. Your body's moving, and they presented the movie in more than just the context of a film and being able to move and turn, but different types of presentations of content, from actual video to the full 360 degrees of space. So it's inspiring to see those types of use cases coming out while the devices themselves for virtual reality haven't really reached mass adoption. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of is the different types of interaction through the body as an interface. So the ability to use things like your hands or even your feet inside of virtual reality or interactive experience. We've seen insoles and interactive shoes, which seem kind of counterintuitive or pointless unto themselves. When you take a look at the larger picture, what they really show is that we're starting to bring our entire body into a digital experience. For years, we've relied on a screen and a mouse, then we graduated to glass screens and touch screens, and scrolling and pinching and zooming. Eventually, we'll be able to use our entire body in free form for virtual reality without having to worry about learned user interactions. Everything will be rather intuitive, whether it's the incorporation of voice user interface or the body itself, the hands, the feet, etc. Those types of things will start to build more and more immersive virtual reality and augmented reality experiences. One of the things we're seeing get traction is mixed reality, which brings together elements of the physical and virtual worlds to create new environments and experiences. One particular example that we saw used a Microsoft HoloLens and a Myo armband to allow the user to manipulate a set of foam Jenga blocks, imparting a form of virtual telekinesis on the user. In the headset, the user sees a shield around the foam blocks, which they use the Myo armband to charge and fire projectiles at. Once the shield has been destroyed, they're able to blow up the set of Jenga blocks, creating quite the spectacle for anyone looking on. Another example of body as an interface is something we're calling movement as a platform. Movement as a platform is about analyzing the body's movements to be able to see trends, but also manipulate and change the way the body moves. So this has serious applications for sports like martial arts, football, basketball, from analyzing your vertical jump to how fast your speed is, to your gait, or even to your golf swing. These types of devices, whether they're inserts in your shoes or armbands, etc., are able to track your movement in a way that gives you automatic feedback, but can also transmit that data to experts and mentors who can help people understand the way their bodies are moving. So we're starting to bring the body into digital experiences in far more comprehensive ways beyond just virtual and augmented reality, which have lots of applications in gaming, but also to changing the way you actually perceive your body, move your body, and interact with the real world. So it's the end of South by Southwest. We've been through 3 really big conferences in the last couple of months. At the beginning, CES was all about the different types of technology that were going to be important in the next few years for consumer interaction. Alexa won the day at CES. There was a lot about autonomous driving, about artificial intelligence, and the different types of theoretical use cases you'll be able to see with this technology moving forward. When it comes to Mobile Congress, that was more about the infrastructure that enables this type of technology. 5G, edge computing, all of those tended to be the topics of the entire conference. A lot of that is about what's happening in the future and how do we get there. So more the infrastructure and the plumbing of the experiences you'll see in the future. The unique thing about South by Southwest, as Tom mentioned earlier, it's less about the future and theoretical cases and more about the experiential and the understanding of how these technologies can be used in creative expression for digital use cases.
So you've heard us talk about connection, how we connect with each other. You've heard us talk a lot about cognition and the role that artificial intelligence played here by Southwest. You've heard Ian talk about immersion and this kind of zone of convergence and how the conference has evolved over the past few years to where it's less about the big branded experiences and more about content and programming. So thank you again for joining us for our recap. Be sure to watch out for our text-based recap in addition to this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to either reach out to Ian or myself. Thanks.